Sometimes you just have to go with what is so, right here, right now, with what you have right now. Make do with what you have, make do with what you have. The imperfection is the perfection. The perfection is in the imperfection. You can't always wait for the perfect moment, because the perfect moment may never come, because the perfect is imperfect. The perfection's in the imperfection. So you have to go with where you're at. Where you are is where you're at. You have to go with where you're at right now, with what you have, the tools at your disposal. It may not be the perfect moment. You might not be feeling up to it right now, I should do it tomorrow, because right now I'm not feeling up to it. I can do a better job tomorrow. I can do better when I write the perfect script, the perfect manuscript. The script to my life, the script to my book, the script to my song. I may be able to do a better job after I have the right education. I might be able to win the right woman when I put on enough muscle or I make enough money. So let me keep working on that for a while. I gotta keep working on that for a while. And the time never comes. The time never comes. Because the only time is right now. So we've got to make do with what we have right now, the tools at our disposal right now. I may not be feeling like right now is the perfect time to be doing what I'm doing. But if I don't do it now, it shall not be done. So instead, you put yourself out there, put yourself on the line. It may not be so perfect, but it may not be so perfect, but at least it will be. It may not be so perfect, but at least it will be. And trust that whatever you put out, the intent, the work that you do, whatever, trust that it will find its way in time. And the time is now. But trust it'll find its way. It may not be perfect, but if you put it out there, it may spark someone else's interest. And they may say, hey, you know what? Why don't we just do a little twist on what you did, Do a little twist on it. And then someone else says, yeah, but you know what? And all of a sudden the whole thing starts catching fire. You inspired something that caught on fire. You inspired something that caught on fire, caught the world on fire. And we're surrounded by success stories that are imperfection. I mean, look at our new president. But seriously, whether you like him or you don't like him, you've got to give him this, that he put himself out there without being perfect. I mean, a man that has absolutely no experience in running any kind of government is all of a sudden running the United States and the free world. And I think all of us could admit that he's far from perfect. Even the people that really like him will say, hey, I don't really like everything that he says. I wish he'd tone it down. Might not like the color orange, whatever, But, so he's far from perfect. He may not have the competence for the job. He may not have the temperament for the job. That's your point of view, whatever. But nevertheless, he put himself out there. Now maybe, we don't know his personality. Maybe he is, really delusional and he totally believes that he is, the man for the job. Or maybe he realizes that, I don't have everything that I need to be president. But at the same time, I can put myself out there and I can be. And I'll do what I have to do. It's sort of having an inner authority. And with that inner authority, you can rule your world. And the rest of the world can pick up on it. Share your vision. You state your vision and people may share your vision. And you can state your vision through something like politics or writing, your art, your music, but most importantly, the person that you are. You state your truth. And if your truth is enticing, inviting, then you may form a community of like-minded people who will support what you do, and you'll find yourself supporting what they do because you're like-minded, common goal. But it all begins with putting it out there, even if it's not perfect, even if you're not ready. Sometimes it's just time to say no more. No more to being less than. Less than worthy, less than deserving. Enough is enough. You've been getting by in this world for a long, long time. But there was always this feeling that it wasn't quite right. There was a lack of true satisfaction. There was a lack of bliss. There were moments, but not enough. And then there comes the time when you refuse to settle for less, when you know that there's something more. You know that there's something more, and you've known it for a long time. But you felt like you couldn't get past where you're at. There was something more beyond the door, but you didn't know how to open the door. But then you get to this point somewhere along the journey, in this lifetime or another lifetime, and it's all the same lifetime, it's all right here, right now. But you get to a point where you will no longer settle for less than. Less than a beautiful you, an attractive you, a blissful you, a successful you, an abundant you, abundant of whatever it is that you desire. And you look out to your world and you say, no more. I won't settle for less than a world where I'm surrounded by others with abundance and bliss and joy. No more war, no more being poor, no more war, no more being poor. No more being unhealthy. No more being less vibrant, less attractive, less worthy, less deserving of what it is that you desire, that lights your fire, There comes a time when you say no more to the most certain things. Even death. Others may still see it. They'll hold a funeral for you. They'll see your body in the casket. For them, death was certain. But you don't even know you died. You're still going on alive. You don't even know you died. You're still carrying on alive. As if you're alive, because there comes a time when you say no more. I won't settle for less. then eternal life, eternal bliss. Because there's no other way. I'm not going to die. Let others see it to be so, and you're only believing it right now. You're only believing that you're seeing them as mortal beings with limited dreams. Mortal beings with limited dreams. But there comes a time when you say no more. No more of being less than. And so you become brilliant. You become alive in a way that you had forgotten through the centuries, through the lifetimes, through the realities, through the days, through the weeks, through the years. You forgot. You had forgotten how good it can be. And all of a sudden the lights just go on. You wake up and everything is beautiful. Everything. And you look in the mirror and you like what you hear with your eyes when you realize that you are beautiful and anything is possible. And those marks on your face were never real. You have a beautiful face. You live in a beautiful place. It's a beautiful human race. You have a beautiful face. You live in a beautiful place. It's a beautiful human race. Everything just comes out magically. You catch the drift that anything can be. You can be brilliant. Brilliant. But shall I say it, in this time? In this time we shall not be blind. How about that? In this time we shall not be blind to our genius, our endless potential for creativity that anything can be. But in order to be, you've got to risk being a fool. And that's what I do on the show, I suppose, to some, in some people's eyes, and sometimes in my own eyes. I had to have the courage or the willingness to be foolish, the ability to trust you, the audience, because it's the message that I'm here to give. And we all have a message that we're here to give. And the message doesn't necessarily need to come in the form of words, sentences, ideas. But we're here to give what was given to us. But that requires taking a step forward, taking a giant leap into the unknown. And if you look at the tarot begins in the major arcana, which is, it's a story, it's a myth. It begins with the Fool, and the whole trip from the Fool to the Magician, through the whole thing, is a journey, and it represents the human journey. And it's very powerful when understood. But we begin in the tarot with the Fool card. And a lot of people, their idea of what the word fool means would lead them to believe, if they saw the Fool card turn up for them, they believe that maybe they're looking foolish or something. And yes, it is tied into that. But what the Fool card really represents is stepping forward into the unknown on a new journey. And yes, you can look foolish and probably will look foolish at times. And I've looked foolish in my love life, with friends, with relationships, with everything that I do, with this. I've looked foolish, but if you're really going to give what you're here to give, what was given to you, you've got to be able to risk looking foolish. And eventually you'll find your way, and what you do will find its proper form. And I can just look at my life and look at so many stories. You know, I have a friend who was a musician, and he makes terrible music. But of course, we're friends, so we say, "Oh yeah, that's great, that's great, that's great." But his music is really awful. And but I've always thought, you know what? If he keeps going on it, just because he's determined, because he has a passion for music, one day he'll find his way. So we may be laughing at him, like, "Oh my God, you know, your music's awful." I'm not saying it to him. But if he keeps at it, ignoring the naysayers, ignoring those who laugh at him, if he stays with it, he will find his way. He'll become a better musician, and he may end up meeting some other musicians, start collaborating with them and learning from them, and together they put together something really good. And I think I used to have a friend who was a radio DJ at a college station out in Los Angeles. And he told me that he had this demo back when there were tapes. He had a demo tape that was sent to him by a band. I'm not going to name them, but this band is one of the most famous rock bands that ever existed. And he said, "I have this demo tape of them that they sent to me before they were famous. Want to hear it?" So he plays it for me, and I couldn't believe it. They were awful. Their demo tape was horrible. Oh my God. You would listen to that and you would think these guys never in a million years could become one of the most famous rock bands in the world, who, you know, even in this day and age, they're being played all the time on classic rock radio. So he plays it for me, and the voice was horrible, the songs were structured horribly. You could hear the good guitar playing of this guitarist, who is one of the best guitarists, considered to be one of the best rock guitarists in the world. But it sounded awful. It really, really sounded awful, laughable. And we were sitting there laughing about it. How could band X, you know, I said I don't want to name the name, but how could they have possibly ever sounded so horrible? And yet, that band had the courage to leap forward into the unknown, to be the fool, and send out those demos. And eventually somebody must have heard something in one of those demos, maybe saw them playing in a club somewhere, and maybe said, "You know what, these guys are pretty bad, but I see something in them, and I can help them," you know? So some producer takes them into a studio and starts working with them and transforming their sound. And the next thing, they become one of the most famous rock bands that there ever was. But you have to begin, you have to put yourself out there. And I'm aware that in this particular show, I'm actually talking about two separate things and not really connecting them. I'm talking about putting yourself out there in the moment with the tools that you have at your disposal at this time, you know, the skills that you have at this time. You know, the fool to leap forward. And I'm also talking about there coming a time in your life when you just can't accept what's been happening. Something's wrong or not right in your life. And even though it's just the way that it's supposed to go, it's what you've always been told, it's what you've always read, it's what's in your head, that this is the way that it is, and there's no other way. There comes a time when you say, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to rise above the certain limitation that I was born into the most extreme poverty in a place that does not allow any way out of there. You will not accept that a man or a woman of your height or weight or age or physical abilities or mental abilities could possibly ever achieve this. But you overcome a certainty, a reality. You overcome it. The impossible becomes possible. And that's how we get to where we are. How we got to a world where we're riding around in metal boxes at 70 miles an hour on these roadways. We have electric lights instead of candles. We have this little box that I can hold in my hand. I can talk to anybody in the world through speech, through video, through written word. I can communicate with the world through this box. All the information in the world is accessible through this little box. Tell that to somebody 200 years ago, that something like that could be possible. But someone stepped through, made a breakthrough. And these are subtle breakthroughs. There are bigger ones to come for you. But not something that you're going to wait around for someone to invent. What it comes down to, it's up to you. What it comes down to, it's up to you. You are going to be the author of this new fabulous story where you become immune to disease. You become immune to mortality, immune to poverty, immune to whatever it is that you wish to exit your life, because you're going to say no more war, no more being poor. That's it. I'm here just taking risks, man. But I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to sacrifice for you. Because I have something to say. And you have something to say. But it requires those kind of risks. And use whatever tools that are at your disposal. Use whatever tools are at your disposal. So if you have people in your life that are support system, awesome. That's part of what you have to help you take that leap. Maybe you don't have a support system of people, but maybe you have the audacity of hope, you know? The audacity of believing in what you do, even though no one's there to support you. But you know in your heart that you have something, because you do. You have something, I have something really powerful. And when you put it out there, it will take shape eventually. And it will lead to exactly what it is that you set out to do, have, be, do, have. And everything will take shape, and all your dreams will come true. But it begins with that courageous or foolish step. And for some people it may seem more like courage. For others it may seem absolutely foolish. But you go, you jump, you take the leap. All right. See you next time.